Hey, Tim Sykes here, and I wanted to do this pre-market video lesson just because there are so many stocks and they're moving so fast right now. Things are a little crazy. So I'm filming this on a Wednesday night. It'll be posted Thursday morning pre-market. So I want you to really be prepared. And if you are, by the end of this video, leave 2 words underneath this video saying, actually 3 words, I am prepared. And I want hopefully every single one of you watching this will come to that conclusion. I had a pretty good day on Wednesday. I was teaching a few students in person. I made roughly 3 grand on STRM and IZEA, and I made a little on RGSE. Didn't necessarily trade them all great, but it's good to go over what's hot. So, I guess RGSE is what I'll start with because this was the biggest winner of the day on Wednesday. Massive gain, up over 200%. If you look back at the chart, I mean, it is a terrible, terrible company. I'll do a full fundamental take on what a joke this company is in the next few days, but right now I don't have time. There's too many plays. They signed a, quote, exclusive deal with Dow, which is an $80 billion company, which, you know, you're like, wow, this small company signed a deal with an $80 billion company. But if you read the press release closer, they're actually paying Dow roughly $3 million in the first 30 days. They don't even have that much money in the bank. Their revenues are dropping 40%. Their losses are up like 10, 15% per year. They lose several million per year. They are a near bankrupt company. This is a top potential short in the coming days as more and more people start to realize it. But you got to be careful shorting too soon. If you look at some of the other junk that's running right now, CLSN, look at this, 1.5 to 7, all the way now back down to the 3s and the 4s. So these things do come down, but you have to be very, very careful. This was all in literally a day when it went from 1.5 to 7. ECYT also, I underestimated this one. This one went from 1.5 to 6. This is the new norm, where you can. It's cool. You make 4 times your money in 2 days. I got to give props to a lot of you. I'm just going to go through my Twitter. I have so many of you guys to congratulate. I'm sorry if I miss you. Fahim says this. He's using stocks to trade and Profitly to track his trades. And I agree. These 2 tools are essential. That's why we created them. Nick made money on CLSN, bought the high of the day. Mia nailed, or Maya, MIA, Unicycling Club, bought RGSE at 205, currently out at 3. I hope that they got out because it is a contract, but again, you have to read it closer. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. Danielle made a quick 158 on RGSE. The Beachy Blonde made 240 on RGSE. Bud Light YR made some money. Looks like I guess this is 220 to 450. I don't know. Take your pick. There's a few stocks that did that. Melissa banked on RGSE. Brandon, 4 green days in a row with almost 12K in profits. That's freaking awesome, Brandon. Good job. There's more tweets. Sorry. There's my mom. Always treat your moms with respect too. That's a little lesson. Here's Junty saying MTBC. So MTBC was a big runner yesterday, which I underestimated. I alerted this in the chat room around 235, 240, and I didn't want to chase it. And those of you guys who were training with me in person today, I mean, this thing is a roller coaster. It goes up from 1.5 to 4 after hours yesterday. Then it tanks all the way down to 2.6. I mean, this is a 30% drop. Then they put out another press release at 9 a.m. that spikes the stock from 3 to the 5s before coming back to the 3s. So much, much volatility to take advantage of both sides. My biggest win today was on STRM, which actually has a very similar product to MTBC with healthcare software. And they announced their press release, pretty much at the exact same time. Let's see. MTBC. What time did it start spiking exactly yesterday? The press release came out at around 3:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. STRM, the press release came out at around 3:30 p.m. So I like these late day breakouts, but As those of you who were training with me live in person and in the chat room, I commented saying I did not want to chase this. And I saw it around 235, 240. I didn't want to chase it. And it went up to 280, and I don't mind missing big plays like that because I'm just not comfortable. STRM, if you go back and look at the longer term chart, it's never had a big gain like this, okay? So you can't be that aggressive. At least MTBC has gone supernova in the past. So I'm a big fan of rebuying supernovas. They can go up again. One of my best plays in the past few weeks was MGTI. This went supernova once before. I was buying this in here on the breakout in the 130s. I didn't know it was going to go to the 4s. I thought it would just go to the high 1s, maybe 2. But long story short, former supernovas can become supernovas again. So MTBC had it, and it did it. STRM did not. So I don't mind missing out on some potential gains. The cool thing is that, I'm slammed when I teach. I think we have like 8 or 9 people here. Literally just a very small group. It's very hands-on training. If you're interested in learning in person, send an email to admin@timothysykes.com and put in the title in-person training. And, we have a few options. We'll talk to you. But I don't mind missing a trade like this when it doesn't fit my specs. For me, the way that I trade, the way that I teach, it's not just about profits and losses. I want to focus on patterns that I know that can be repetitive. Okay, this is a similar pattern to MTBC, but MTBC is a former supernova, STRM is not. The interesting thing is that it came all the way down from 280 down to the 220s. So it dropped even lower than where I first saw it after hours. And I was actually trying to take a nap, getting ready before dinner with my in-person coaching students. And I saw it and I was like, this is kind of interesting. By my not chasing it, I prevented myself from buying at 230, 240, 250, 260, 270, 280. And okay, I could have made like 20, 30 cents, 40 cents a share, but it would have been quick. It would have been all in like 10 minutes. Instead, I did not have to trade it. I did not want to trade it, but when the stock came down and consolidated nicely in here in the 220s, I was like, okay, even though it's not a former supernova, now that it is consolidated 60 cents a share off its highs just under an hour ago, now I like dip buying it. So by my not forcing the trade, understanding that I didn't have to trade it, but waiting for it to have better risk reward, that opened the door to my buy in the 220s. And, I thought that it could just get to like 250. So that was my exit. It actually got up close to 260, and after hours, it's at 245-ish. And I locked in just under $2,000 in profits. Very actively traded after hours too. So it's kind of cool when you don't force trades and if you let trades come to you. RGSE, from the very beginning, I didn't want to trade this, okay? I was getting ready to go meet my students in person. And as they'll tell you, I almost missed the market open because this stock was spiking a ridiculous 200, 250% pre-market on their news with Dow, which again is bullshit, and this stock will head right back down to the ones. It might squeeze a little more first because this market is crazy. But I shorted some in here because, frankly, I saw the news. I saw the overreaction. I shorted a small amount at Interactive Brokers. Yes, Interactive Brokers had shares to short. I think everybody should have an Interactive Brokers account. No, they don't pay me a single dime. In fact, they hate me because I tell people not to trade as much as they want to. Anyways, I saw bullshit news. I saw an overextended stock, so I shorted it in the low 2s, covered it in the high 1s. Missed the exact bottom. I was covering it in the 180s. It got all the way down to the 160s. But sure enough, this actually kept going higher because 'tis the season for junk to run. And RGSE is the junk of the day. CLSN was the junk of the day yesterday, and you can see it got hit hard. This is what happens to junk. Sometimes it can go up for a day, maybe 2, sometimes even 3 if it squeezes enough early short sellers. But most of the time, you will see these big drops. And the cool thing is that CLSN, on that first drop, guess what? That is a number 5 pattern from my Penny Stocking Framework DVD, where you buy the dip on a recently strong stock. And this thing bounced from a low of the 370s, 380s, and it went all the way up to 530. So this is a nice 50% gain. Even though it doesn't look like much on the chart, you make 50% on your money inside of 2 hours on the bounce. Or if you like shorting that failed bounce where it can't go green on the day, guess what? Another 30% on the way down. 525 down to 375. What is the percent exactly? Hold on. I'm not good at math. Let's see. It got up to 529 and then it got down to 367. Yeah, 30% drop. So 50% bounce, 30% drop, or you could short the morning panic. I missed all of them. I don't mind missing these plays. There's too many freaking plays right now. ECYT actually has been a big winner the past 3 days, and it's holding near its highs. And this is a potential buy if it can really break, this congestion zone at like 620 and really, test the highs in the 650s. But I like the fact that this is holding near its highs. I know several students like Ducks, several of my hottest students, Ducks and Roland, were both long this. I did not want to go long because, it finished up like 10 cents a share on the day. Did it close there, or that might be after hours? Let's see. After hours, it's like at 610. So, it is slightly up on the day, but for me, it's just not convincing. And I don't want to chase a stock that's already up from the ones to the sixes. That said, in this market, stuff is flying. So it could keep going. So I want you to watch these big movers. And even if you're not trading, even if you're just paper trading, start practicing. Start saying, wait a minute, let me see what's going to happen. If this thing does break the 620-ish level, maybe potentially buy it for a morning squeeze tomorrow or today when you see this video lesson. ECYT, oh, this is ECYT, sorry. CLSN, okay, this one had a big win and a big gap down. It wasn't even a gap down. Let me show you the extended. A big panic and it finished at its lows. So now, let's see. This thing is still up from the ones. So let's see how it acts if it breaks below 370, which has been, support roughly 3 times, 350, 360, 370. If it breaks below that, this could easily go back down under 3. So this is a potential short for me. Or maybe, it's bouncing around and it's trying to find a bottom. And maybe it's going to bounce back to the 4.5s or the 5s. There's money to be made both ways right now. And I want you to start looking at the previous day's highs and lows at different time frames so that you can start to judge. STRM, I locked in my roughly $2,000 in profits in less than an hour. Just frankly, because I was, I didn't want to do the trade, and then it hit my goals, so I just took it. I didn't need overnight risk. But just because this is not MTBC, we are in a ridiculously hot market right now. So if this thing starts spiking 250, 260, it might retest the highs in the 280s. And if it can break the 280s, then it can potentially go to 3. So I might rebuy this. But, what if this drop is real and, it's going to come down? I wouldn't short a stock that's only up, from $1.60 to like 220. But don't think that this definitely has to bounce. That's probably the lesson there. RGSE, I really, really want to short this one just because, the whole Dow partnership is a joke. But that said, I'm hoping that this thing can retest the highs in the 3s. This is the first green day. I hope that no journalist is smart enough to do their digging. All you have to do is do a simple Google search for this, allegedly incredible Dow unit that they now have the exclusive right to sell, even though that Dow unit, it's called Dow Power Shingles, absolutely failed. There's several articles. If you just search for Dow Power Shingles, there's one article that said like the dream is over. Another one said this product totally failed. But because junk is running right now, this thing was up 200 and at one point even roughly 300% on the day. But these are the big percent winners. And a lot of you guys ask, how do you find them? You use stocks to trade. You use a scanner to find the biggest percent winner. Okay? It's very, very simple. Yesterday, MTBC, when it started spiking, it popped up on my high of the day watch list for stocks, hitting new highs, and as a percent gainer. Long before it went to 4. I saw it at around 240. And Tim Bowen was given a live webinar for Stocks to Trade Pro people. If you want that, you can email, I think it's pro@stockstotrade.com. pro@stockstotrade.com is the email. And Tim Bowen is one of my part-time trading students, but he gives a webinar every single day. And he's using Stocks to Trade to just, do basic scans. And he spotted this one, I think someone said at like 209. That before it went, it doubled literally after hours. So watch this one. This one, again, it's kind of crazy how much of a roller coaster it is. So that makes me not really want to trade it. But for me, this is a potential short. So the further it spikes, the more aggressive I'll be on the short side. And then I want to finish with an interesting stock, IZEA. Oh, shoot. I forgot to highlight more students. My bad. Junti, you distracted me with your MTBC gains. Jesus, I said this in the class today when I was teaching the students, and I was like, Jesus! And everyone's like, what? Why is he taking Jesus' name? What is he saying? And I was referring to Jesus or Jesus, who made 2,600 on MTBC, which is awesome. Jeffrey made 15% on MTBC. Derek, it was first overnight trade. I mean, that's a scary hold. So he's studying. But I like the video that Derek made. Watch this video.
The gains are coming. The gains
are coming. The gains.
I don't need no RSI. It's breaking out, so I will buy the gains.
Are coming. He's loving life, and so I had to sing along. How much did he make? I don't know what he made, but he was in 295 out at 410, and now he's studying more, so that's good. Travis banked in at 296 out at 374, profit of 555. Good job, Travis. Danny in at 253 out at 494. First 1,000 plus trade, and his first $1,000 plus trade is a $2,400 profit. This is freaking badass. Nearly doubling your money. And I want you guys to show this video to anybody in your family or friends who say, oh, penny stocks are a scam, Tim Sykes is a scam. These are the same fucking patterns that I've been trading for 2 decades and the same patterns that I've been now teaching for a decade. So it's going to keep happening. The only question is, are you prepared? Here is Juan. He banked off CATB. Damon made 1,000. Alexin made 68% on MTBC. Weller Trade made 500 on RTNB. RTNB was another one that actually got halted because they're so sketchy. And even after the halt, when it drops, 60%, it opens around 60 cents. It triples. Look at this thing. This is ridiculous. It tripled. This is one of the worst fundamentally flawed companies in the world. They get halted by the regulators. And right when it opens, even though it's opening down, guess what? In a few minutes, it goes from 60 cents to $1.74. It triples. What time did it open? 9:58 a.m. By 10:23, so roughly 25 minutes, you triple your money. And even if, that's scary, I mean, that's quick and scary. Look at this. You buy the dip here at 98 cents, and it goes to $1.60. Okay? This is at 12 p.m. This is at 2:30. So in 2 hours, it goes from 96 cents to $1.60. It's roughly, what, 60% in 2 hours. And this is a very similar chart to STRM, where you had the big spike on STRM followed by the downtrend, followed by the dip, and the bounce. Let's just compare. Wait, I can do a second symbol. STRM, almost the exact same kind of spike as RTNB. Then the downtrend, then the bounce. RTNB, spike, downtrend, bounce. It's pretty cool when these stocks are all moving in sympathy. Totally different companies, but the same kinds of patterns apply with penny stocks. That's kind of the beauty of this. And then also this morning, I'm not even going to go crazy with how many people in the chat are banking. But I love this. This was G Cannon in MTVC at 275, out at 495, made 2200. Oh, I think that might be. Was that the one who posted later? No. Jesus made 2600. I don't know. There's so many of you guys to congratulate. Long story short, you're trying to capture some of the volatility. Don't feel bad if the stock goes further than you thought it would. You're trying to take as much as you can. RGSE, I was just glad to make I made like roughly 30 cents a share. But on the short side, there was only like 50 cents a share to be made. I guess if you caught the exact top, there was like nearly $1 a share. But it's tough to catch the exact bottom and the exact top and the exact bottom of the move. So this is roughly $1 a share. But it's quick and that's tough. I was happy to make 30 cents a share, especially because, I was wrong about how people would react to this news. But props to some of you guys who like dip buying. Guess what? Same kind of thing where you have this big spike and then you have a dip. And you could have bought this dip just like STRM or RTNB. Dip buying is kind of my favorite thing right now. And that's why I wanted to get to IZEA. So this one, even though it's not that liquid, it's still one of the biggest winners over the past few days. So it's very interesting to me. It's been in this range and I've traded it like a dozen times. I'm sorry I keep trading it, but this, I thought that it was going to be due for a big morning panic today. I was short overnight, didn't get the big panic. I made like another 20 cents a share. I mean, I probably have 7 or 8 trades now of just shorts where I make like 20 cents a share, either overnight or inside of an hour. This theoretically should collapse. This stock is up from the 1s, again, to the 6s or the 7s, like all these other stocks. But unlike the other ones, I mean, this has no real positive news. It's purely a pump where they've hyped themselves up as this AI play, but they're totally full of shit. Maybe they're related. Maybe they have a conference call with RGSE, like, hey, bro, you gonna be totally full of shit this week? Yeah, me too. Cool, let's do it. It's the right market. I don't know, but this one should collapse. And yet it's not, because they keep putting out more and more press releases. Today they put out a tweet saying that they're going to have an analyst update. They're going to update all their numbers on October 10th. So as I film this, today is October 4th. So they specifically are issuing a date in the future, trying to hype themselves up. And guess what they're going to say? If you put out a random, guidance and analysts and you're telling them, you're going to say, oh, look, we're fucking amazing. So you can expect them to be cheerleaders. And that said, because we know that they're going to be cheerleaders for themselves on October 10th, it's probably going to rise in anticipation of October 10th. The problem is it's also already risen a ton, and the more press releases they put out that say absolutely nothing, the more people realize they're full of shit. So it hasn't even really been able to bounce. So this is actually a very interesting case where the longer term chart and logic tells me that this should collapse. They also only have like 4 million in cash in the bank, and they're losing 2.5 million per quarter. So they're going to be out of business in 6 months unless they raise more money. So most likely they're doing this to keep the stock afloat so that they can do some kind of financing deal, likely, in the 4s or the 3s. And that way you get the stock up, you do the financing at a discount, the company raises money. Anybody who chases or buys or doesn't know how the game works loses their ass. And short sellers bank as the stock collapses. But the interesting thing is that if they cannot get the financing done, or depending on how long it takes, because I guarantee you they're working on a financing, they will try to pump their stock up every single day. And there were a lot of fake buyers all day the past 2 days where, they put in big bids and they pretend that, oh, this stock looks amazing. Pre-market, this thing was actually up. And then right near the market open, it collapsed because all of those big buy orders that you saw on the bid were fake. So it'll be interesting to see if they put out a press release and if they can bounce above this top level that it had problems with twice today at 620. It already put in a solid support here at 565 and 570. I covered pretty nicely right here near the market open on my overnight short at 575 from just under 6 I was short. So right now it's mid-range. Can it break 620? It's 30 cents away. Can it break this key level of 560? It's 30 cents away. So it was kind of impressive that it didn't drop more today, but it also was not that impressive that it couldn't bounce. Also, you have to consider its main sympathy play, HMNY, is fading a little bit more and more. You're getting these late day collapses. One of these days, HMNY is just going to completely collapse, like $2, $3, $4 a share, and that's going to be bad for IZEA. So IZEA, it's a battle of, can the company pump themselves up with more meaningless bullshit press releases and tweets about anticipation of press releases, enough times to actually squeeze shorts, because shorts can only hold the short for so long. There might be some buy-ins. And if this thing breaks above 620, I might even rebuy it, because then it could squeeze. But if it does break below 560, we should see a collapse. And it might not even take a financing to do that. It might just be because HMNY is collapsing, or this one, the bounce will just fail. So I have no position right now in any of these stocks. In case you think I'm biased, I'm just trying to give you the best take on all of these, because frankly, I want you as prepared as possible. And it's not enough to just pick good companies. It's not good enough to just, see breaking news. You have to think about a few different variables. And I know it might be confusing and overwhelming for you guys in the beginning, but it's really not that crazy. There's only a set number of variables. If you watch my trader checklist guide, if you watch my how to make millions guide, this is it. And by the way, thank you to everybody who got my How to Make Millions guide. If you go to howtomakemillions.com, we just passed $3 million in charity donations, because that guide took me several months to complete, but it is entirely for charity. So I'm going to do a blog post probably this weekend talking about how we just passed 3 million, and that's awesome. So I have several DVDs that I'm working. All of those are going to go to charity, because I want to build 1,000 schools, and I like you guys learning from these guides and really understanding these patterns. So IZEA, watch it for potential long if we have the right catalysts and the right price action, or a potential short if there is no catalyst and it starts looking like it's going to crack 560, or if HMNY starts cracking. Still watch STRM, still watch ECYT, still watch CLSN, still watch MTBC. And these are my main watches. All of these stocks are trading, millions of shares. RGSE traded 53 million shares. CLSN traded 32 million shares in a day. MTBC traded 29 million shares. ECYT traded 18 million shares. And STRM traded, nearly 5 million, but that was pretty much all in the last hour of the day. So if the news had come near the market open, this thing would have traded 20, 30 million shares on the day too. So it is a hot, hot, hot market for longs and shorts. You have several plays. There's probably going to be some new plays that pop up too. But just really try to test out your theories. Try different patterns. We all have different preferences. We all have different personalities. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. So even if you're not trading, just write down on paper like a potential trade and see how it does, and do that every single day, and start testing your theses and seeing, which angles you're better at. Are you better at longs? Are you better at shorts? For me, I have figured out that I am good at really dip buying stocks in the $2 a share range. And STRM was a good example of that today. RGSE, I thought that it was a good short. It was for, dropped for like 30, 45 minutes. But I was wrong overall. And so I used that knowledge to say, wait a minute, the market is telling me that logic and valuation doesn't really matter right now. So you have to be extra careful shorting. And I know some of you guys don't like shorting. It's good to learn how short sellers think. The reason why stocks like CLSN spike so much is not because they're a good company. It's because early shorts were squeezed. So study short selling. Learn how short sellers think, even if you're a buyer. Some of these most fundamentally flawed companies like CLSN become the biggest spikers when too many shorts get squeezed too early on. So anyways, this is my take on several hot stocks. Get in my chat room before the market open when, after I post this, because I'm not just giving alerts, I'm giving commentary. Stephen Dux, Roland, Tim Grattani, Mark Crook, Michael Good, all my top students are in there. And they're talking about their trades and what they see too. So you just got to be prepared. And hopefully this video has helped explain that a little bit. Congrats to all of you guys who are tweeting me. Hey, Zeus! I'm sorry if I missed you. I got to get some sleep. Crazy, crazy times. You guys get some rest too, because the next few days are going to be insane for longs and shorts. Thank you.